The bridge of the freighter Iron Fang was a place of worn metal and lingering ghosts. The old YT-class vessel groaned as it moved through the void, its aging frame a testament to the hard life led by its crew. Merrick Mac Branthor, a pragmatic veteran, stood at the helm, his cybernetic eye a cold blue orb scanning the star charts with relentless precision. His cybernetic arm rested on the navigation console, guiding them along the trade route to Tin Car Station, a place known for its neutrality, but infamous for the dangers that lurked in its shadows. Below, in the cramped launch bay, the atmosphere was entirely different. Here, tension coiled like a spring. Zev Branthor was strapped into the cockpit of his Talon-class fighter, the Falconet. The plates of his dark blue Beskar armor creaked softly as he ran a final systems check. He wasn't just a pilot. He was a warrior waiting for a war. His thoughts, unwelcome and sharp, drifted back to the fire and ruin of his homeworld, Bogan Prime. The quiet of space offered no peace, only an echo of all he had lost. His quest wasn't for profit on some forgotten trade station. It was for a ghost named Ulrich von Dargen, and the justice owed for the annihilation orchestrated by the Order of the Starry Cross. The calm was shattered by a jarring proximity alert that blared through the ship. On the bridge, Mac's cybernetic eye whirred, focusing on the tactical display. Multiple contacts, closing fast. No transponders. They're running silent. Red icons flashed onto the screen, their flight path a clear intercept course. Order configuration, Mac growled into the comm. It's an ambush. Zev didn't need to be told twice. The raw fury that simmered within him ignited. I see them, he responded, his voice a low growl of anticipation. The canopy of the Falconet hissed shut, sealing him in with the thrum of the fighter's combat systems. Tell me you're not going to argue about this. No arguments today, kid. Mac's voice came back, tight with tension. Just give 'em hell, launching now. The launch bay doors groaned open, revealing the star-dusted void. With a thunderous roar, the Falconet shot out from the belly of the freighter, a sleek predator unleashed to meet the hunting pack. The three enemy ships broke formation, revealing their sleek, aggressive profiles. Valkyrie-class interceptors, the Order's hounds. They moved with a chilling, predatory grace. Zev pushed the Falconet's throttle to its limit. Laser cannons spitting incandescent energy. The void erupted into a chaotic ballet of light and motion. He barrel-rolled to evade the first volley of plasma fire, the red bolts searing past his cockpit with a silent, terrifying heat. This was his element. The rage that haunted him in the silence of his quarters became a focused, cold fury in the heat of battle. Every enemy fighter wore the face of Ulrich von Dargen. Zev dove towards a nearby asteroid field, a graveyard of shattered rock and ice. The Valkyries followed, their superior speed negated by the treacherous terrain. He weaved through the spinning debris, using a massive, tumbling chunk of rock as cover to break the targeting lock of one pursuer. He spun the Falconet on its axis, came out of the asteroid's shadow flying backward, and unleashed a volley that struck the Valkyrie's engine nacelle. The ship shuddered, veering off with a trail of black smoke. But the other two were on him instantly. One of the pilots was an ace, anticipating his moves, forcing him into tighter, more desperate maneuvers. Red plasma bolts hammered against his rear deflector shields, the impact jolting him in his seat. The shield indicator on his console dropped into the yellow, then the red. A shrill alarm screamed for his attention. "Zev, your shields are failing!" Mac's voice crackled over the comm, a rare note of urgency in his tone. "I'm a little busy right now," Zev grunted, shunting all remaining power from his engines to the rear shields. The Falconet slowed sluggishly, but the shields flared back to life just in time to absorb another direct hit. He paid for it, though. The momentary loss of speed was all the enemy ace needed. A perfectly aimed shot bypassed the weakened shields and struck the Falconet's port engine. The fighter screamed in protest, spinning wildly out of control. Warning lights flashed across his console like angry red eyes. He was a sitting duck. The two Valkyries closed in for the kill, their weapon ports glowing with lethal intent. Just as the final volley was unleashed, bright green lances of turbo laser fire erupted from the void, a silent, beautiful storm of destruction. They tore into one of the Valkyries, vaporizing it in a flash of white-hot light. Out of the darkness, a Federation corvette, sleek and bristling with cannons, emerged like an avenging angel. The name Vigilant Spear was emblazoned on its hull. The remaining Order pilot, suddenly facing a warship, broke off the attack and vanished into the asteroid field as quickly as they had appeared. "This is Commander Vex of the Vigilant Spear," a calm, authoritative voice echoed in Zev's cockpit. "You seem to be in a spot of trouble, pilot." Zev wrestled with the controls, finally stabilizing the crippled falconet. He let out a breath he didn't know he was holding, his knuckles white on the flight stick. "Just a friendly disagreement," he replied, his voice tight with adrenaline. "Thanks for the intervention, Commander. I owe you one." "We'll be continuing on to Tinkar for repairs," Mac's voice cut in, broadcasting on a wider channel. "We appreciate the assistance, Vigilant Spear." "Understood, Iron Fang," Vex replied. "Watch your back. The Order doesn't give up that easily." Vex out. The Federation corvette adjusted its course and jumped to hyperspace, leaving the brothers alone once more in the silent void. Zev carefully maneuvered the smoking falconet back into the freighter's launch bay. The journey to Tinkar was completed in a tense silence. The station loomed out of the darkness, a skeletal structure of rusted metal and flickering lights. It was an old mining platform, long since abandoned by its corporate creators and repurposed into a haven for smugglers, mercenaries, and all those who thrived in the shadows of the galaxy. Towers of mismatched scrap metal reached out like broken fingers, and docking bays gaped open like the mouths of hungry beasts. As the Iron Fang settled into its assigned berth with a heavy thud, the station's atmosphere seemed to seep through the hull. The air in the docking bay was thick with the smell of ozone, spilled fuel, and something acrid and unidentifiable. The distant sounds of a raucous cantina, the clang of metal on metal from a nearby repair shop, and the low hum of failing life support systems created a chaotic symphony of decay. This was Tinkar, a place where you could get anything you wanted if you were willing to pay the price. And sometimes, even if you weren't. "First, repairs. Then, a drink," Max stated, his tone leaving no room for argument as he supervised the automated diagnostics on the Falconet's damaged engine. "And we need to find a parts dealer who won't try to sell us our own ship's plating." An hour later, they stepped into a cantina called the Gilded Cage. The name was a cruel joke. The place was a dim, smoke-filled den, buzzing with the low murmur of a dozen alien languages and the clinking of glasses. Mercenaries with scarred faces eyed them from shadowed booths. Bounty hunters checked their pucks, and smugglers exchanged whispered information over games of chance. And then they saw her. In a corner booth, away from the boisterous crowd, sat a young woman. She was an island of calm in a sea of chaos. She nursed a simple glass of water, her posture poised, and her gaze observant. She didn't belong here. Her clothes were simple but well kept, and she carried an air of quiet dignity that was utterly out of place amongst the station's scum. Perched on the table beside her, motionless as a statue, was a small, intricately crafted mechanical bird. Its metallic feathers shimmered faintly in the dim light, and its crystalline eyes seemed to watch everything at once. Mac's cybernetic eye whirred, analyzing her. "Trouble," he muttered under his breath. "She's either a high-level agent or bait, maybe both." Zev, however, was drawn in. It wasn't just her appearance. It was the way she held herself, defiant and unafraid. He saw a flicker of his own stubborn pride in her eyes. "Or maybe she's just in over her head," he countered, already moving towards her booth. Mac sighed, the sound a mix of resignation and fraternal duty. "And I suppose we're the ones to pull her out." He followed his brother, his hand resting near the blaster holstered at his side. Zev stopped at her table, offering a nod that was polite but cautious. "This table taken?" The woman's eyes lifted to meet his. They were sharp and intelligent, missing nothing. "It depends on who's asking." Just a couple of pilots looking for a quiet place, Zev said, gesturing to himself and Mac. She studied them for a long moment, her gaze lingering on Mac's cybernetic arm, then on the Beskar armor visible under Zev's jacket. "You fly the Iron Fang," she stated, not as a question, but as a fact. Her voice was steady, but Zev caught a faint tremor in it. "You were attacked by the Order." Mac's eyes narrowed. News travels fast on Tin Car. "Faster than you think," she replied, her gaze flicking towards the shadows of the cantina. "I need passage off this station. I can pay." "We're not a taxi service," Mac said flatly, "and we're not looking for the kind of trouble that gets you hunted by the Order." "The kind of trouble that finds you anyway?" she countered, a spark of defiance in her eyes. She then turned her attention fully to Zev. "The pilot of the Corvette that saved you?" "Commander Vex, he's my father." Zev and Mac exchanged a look of surprise. The pieces were starting to click into place. "Your name is Danai," Zev guessed. She gave a slight, almost imperceptible nod. "My name is Danai Vex. I'm an advisor to Princess Anna Danuta, and I am the reason the Order is here." Before they could process this, the small mechanical bird on the table chirped, a soft, melodic sound. Its head swiveled, and its crystal eyes blinked once. "What is that thing?" Mac asked, his suspicion undiminished. "This is my companion," Danai said, stroking its metallic head, "and he is the keeper of our only hope. He carries the voices." "Voices?" Zev repeated, leaning closer. "The digital testimonies of victims, the logs, the orders, the proof of every atrocity the Order has committed in the Outer Rim under the banner of peace," she explained, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. "Everything. It's all in his memory core. It's the evidence the princess needs to break the alliance between the Federation and the Order once and for all." The weight of her words settled over the table, heavier than the station's artificial gravity. This wasn't just about a personal vendetta anymore. This was about galactic politics, about a war fought in the shadows. "So, the Order isn't just hunting you," Mac concluded, the grim reality dawning on him. "They're hunting that bird." "They will stop at nothing to silence these voices," Danai confirmed, her composure finally cracking to reveal the fear beneath. "They want to erase the truth. You have to help me. Your family, the Branthor clan. You know what it's like to suffer at their hands. You, of all people, must understand." She looked directly at Zev, and in her eyes he saw not a noble lady, but a refugee, another survivor of a war she didn't start. The ghosts of Bogan Prime swirled around him, their silent screams echoing in his mind. He had been hunting for justice for himself, but now justice for an entire galaxy had just landed on his table.